Hi, this is Roger in Finland, and today we're going to take a look at the flexible LED panel Godox FL100. So for the impatient ones, it's bright, it's a big source, 40 by 60 centimeters, it's very low profile, it's flexible, and it can be battery powered. And additionally, it does not cost an arm and a leg. And now to some more details. One small disclaimer, you might have guessed because of the size of the channel, but this is my own light, so that's why I'm reviewing it. So what I'm going to go through is how and why I use it, how bright it is, especially for my use case, this kind of videos, then how does it compare to COB lights in general, cheap on board, then what alternatives similar to this might we have, and then should you get one. But before all that, and for those that care, let me read you some specs. The color temperature goes from 3300 to 5600 Kelvin, has a CRI of 96, a TLCI of 98, which means that it's definitely more than good enough for me. The power can be dimmed between 10 and 100%, more on that later, and it gives 3300 lux at 1 meter. And if that says something to you, there you go. Then all this, I'm putting the image now here, but this is what comes on the box, and I'm going to be talking about the different things if it becomes relevant in the video. So why did I want this in the first place? I wanted a big source of soft light for this kind of videos, so this qualifies. I wanted something that it's not too deep, it doesn't use a gigantic amount of space. This still qualifies, and now you can start thinking that maybe softboxes for COBs don't very much. I wanted something that it's not crazy expensive, and lo and behold, this LED flexible panel. Then it has some added bonus features that maybe were not crazy important for me, but I have been using. One is that it can be battery powered with a V-mount battery. And this is something that I use by taking this light outside during the Christmas time to take the pictures of the kids for the Christmas cards, for instance. Battery powered work great. And I just mentioned it can be battery powered with a V-mount that mounts directly to the this control unit, where you can also change the brightness, change the color temperature, and then set the different channels if you want to control it with a remote, which is included. And it's the same remote that works also with the Godox SL60 150 series. So that's very practical. Then that plugs directly straight to the light. And then if you don't use the battery power and you want to plug it to the mains, then there is a transformer that plugs into the mains and into this main unit. So that's how it's controlled. And when you change the brightness, the control goes from 10% to 100% in increments of 1. Another added benefit is it is flexible. I would have been happy with just the size of a LED panel, but the fixed ones tend to be bigger and heavier. And then the fact that this is flexible adds some versatility, and it might open up some cool use cases. And finally, and it's kind of a bonus, but I think it's very important to me, is that this is very easy to set up. So this, basically you can just put it somewhere or like tape it on a wall or hang it from a curtain rod, but in the box or in its own case, which is by the way kind of cool that it comes with the case, it has this X brace which folds, and then you just put this X brace mounted on the 4 corners of the light, and then it basically tightens it and leaves it in the maximum surface space as it can be, and then it can be mounted onto a light stand. And that's how I use it pretty much all the time, because that's my main key light for these talking head YouTube videos. And that starts to answer the reason of how do I use it. So this is my main use. I have it here outside of the camera, so it's maybe at 1 meter away from me. It's a little bit high and it's a little bit angled, so I get a little bit of a shadow, and yet it's a soft source of light. And that's something I have been using different lights in the past. Sometimes in a case of emergency, I use that tube light from Nanlite as a key light, or even the Aperture F7, but I prefer to have a bigger source. The issue is that when I had to use a COB light, whether it be the Aperture 120D or the Godox SL60, which is the 2 ones that I have on, then you need to put a softbox on it, and they're just enormous. We're gonna see comparison soon. And so far, by the way, I've used it bare as it is right now, but I did buy a frame for it, and then a diffuser and a grid that should help to make it even a bit softer, and then maybe focus a little bit more on the light, but I haven't received it yet. And while using it there, I have not had problems, and I know that maybe my standards are very low, but I haven't had issues with, let's say, multi-LED shadows, which is one of the issues with these multi-LEDs, and why COB are a good option for many people that might suffer from that. I haven't had the issue, but that's something to think about. Then my other use case is using it for a product shots type of thing. So either in this same space and I just hold something here, that may be the easiest and laziest way I have to do it. Then sometimes you can just wrap these around and then it spreads even more the light to have even prettier shadows. And sometimes I can put it also on top of something to have a full big source top light. And here what I do is I have this big diffuser sheet folding thing that can turn into a green screen or a golden reflector and whatnot. And the base shape is basically a translucent softening thingy for lights. So I just put on top of something, then this light on top, and then I have a really big soft source to light products from above. But this, the YouTube videos, talking head style, and then using it for products, is my main usage for this light. Then how bright it is? Well, first of all, if you have to do a movie on a big set and light really big spaces, you're probably not watching me reviewing a light that you might purchase for those purposes. So I'm assuming that most of you guys seeing this video are people like me, doing this for fun or maybe getting a bit more into video. And this is definitely more than bright enough to light a small space or to light a subject or even two if I would need to. So right now, this is about a meter away from me. The power is at 10%, so at its absolute lowest setting. The camera is set at f1.8, ISO is 500, so this is the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II, and I'm shooting with OIM Log 400, hence the minimum ISO. And then I still have a variable ND filter, which right now it's set at something like between 2 and 3 stops of dimming. And please just remember, I want to shoot at f1.8 because I want a little bit of blurriness in the background here. I have the ISO as low as I can get it by shooting with OM Log, which is the profile that I like the most to shoot in this camera. The light is at its lowest possible setting. I have it as close as I can because I want to have a bit of the separation and then get even a softer light on my face. And I still need to use an ND filter. So this gives you an idea of how bright this can get. But let's get this to 100% and let's see what do we need to do. Some of the highlights might be a little bit blown, maybe. And I'm gonna have to check this when I get back to the computer, but you get an idea of the power. Let's get back to the non-squinting me. See you in a moment. And now that we've done this experiment, hopefully this gives you a better idea of how bright it is than me saying 3300 lux at 1 meter. And then how does this compare to COB light? COB is standing for chip on board. So this is an example. This is the Godox SL60 that has one massive LED chip in there. And that's probably one of the cheapest, most affordable, and somewhat least powerful mains powered COB light in the market at the moment. I used to have an Aperture 120D, which was way more powerful and better built than this one. I never needed that much of power, and I sold it to get 2 of these. And the reason was that I needed more than one light because we did shoot a short film. These were great for that purpose, but this is very loud. The fan, it's really loud. And you can deal with it maybe in the correct environment, but how I have this set up, this would actually come up very clearly in the microphone. And the other one is that you need a softening thing, a softbox in front of it, and then it gets really huge. Think about that this, it's already as deep as the FL100 with the X brace mounted behind it. So that's already the same size. And now just let me show you how big is the softbox that I have for this one, and you can imagine the comparison. So this is the softbox, and let's open it up. And now you can see how big this is. So now this is the dome. This is a Celens chip thing with practical and very easy to open. You still need to add the light behind it, compared to the really minimum size of the FL100. Of course, one thing is that I'm comparing the FL100 LED flexible panel to a COB for this particular case and saying that it's better for me in this case. But a COB light has some features that this one won't have. First, it's one single very concentrated source of light that you can modify it in many more different ways than you could this one. You can diffuse it like crazy with a big softbox, much bigger than the one I just showed. You can put a snoot and actually focus the light very much. You can even put a Fresnel and focus it even more. You can more easily add filters or use those really cool modifiers that will do different kind of shapes and things and whatnot. So in a way, it's more flexible and offers more possibilities. But if my main use or the only one is for this particular purpose, this is much better than the COB in the space that I work with. Another feature of the COB lights compared to these panels is that they are more powerful. Even the Godox SL60, which is one of the least powerful COBs that are in the market, it's more powerful than this light panel. But as we have established some moments ago, power is nothing that I need really much in this setup. So I'm more than happy with the FL100 output. But now that we have compared it with the COBs, how about other flex panels alternatives? There is the Falconize RX18T, which is pretty much the same size. I think this is 40 by 60. That one I think it's 45 by 60. They are very similarly priced. And then that's pretty much it as far as I could find. The Westcott alternatives, I think they will be much better in quality, but they are a lot more expensive. What you have is a selection of different sizes within the same Godox line. So this is the FL100 that is 40 by 60 centimeters. Then we have the FL60, which is 30 by 45. And for some strange reason, in the place that I got this one from, the smaller one, it's more expensive than this one. Go figure. Then there is the FL150S and 150R. The 150S, that's a square shape and it's 60 by 60. And the R, it's a very long rectangle. It's 30 by 120. They cost a little bit more. Different form factors, different use cases. Pick the one that you like the most or the one that is most useful for you if this is something that you're looking after. So now the question is, should you get one? Well, if you need a big source that it's not too deep in profile for whatever space you're working on, that it's powerful enough to light definitely more than enough a small space, you might want the battery power and you might take advantage of its flexibility, and your budget is about like $300, then definitely yes. If you're gonna miss any functionality or features of COB or chip on board type of lights, then this is not for you, and you might be better off getting either one of the Godox or the Aperture or this non-light or whatnot selection of COB lights, and then use the modifier that would fit better your use case, and then you have that flexibility. There's no one single best light that it's better than the rest for all the cases, but for me, my use, these talking head YouTube videos, this is the best that I have found so far. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and we're gonna see you soon for some more content.